Good morning, all. Welcome to the first class in the prevention of sexual harassment laws. Today, we will be dealing with a brief introduction into the aspects of what constitutes sexual harassment, what are the employer's liability and duties, what are the types of sexual harassment, and how the concepts of the law are to be interpreted. Coming to the definition, in the Act, you can say, gist of the definition is, sexual harassment is anything that is unwelcome, verbal, visual, or physical conduct of a sexual nature that is severe or pervasive and affects working conditions or creates a hostile work environment. Section 354A of the Indian Penal Code talks about 5 main points as to a sexual harassment offense. 1. There has to be a physical contact and advances involving unwelcome and explicit sexual overtures, which we can see from the Tehelka case, which was happening and was in the news a lot. A demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, possibly showing pornography, or any other physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature. Now, to understand what are these 5 points of the sexual harassment offense, we need to understand first few of the words that are used in these points. The first is conduct. Conduct if the person on whom that action is being conducted welcomes such conduct, it is not harassment. For example, in a mixed co-ed environment at the workplace, a female colleague of yours does not mind using, let's say, some crude jokes. That means that in a way she is affirming the conduct of the persons who are cracking the joke. Therefore, her conduct can be said to be welcome. But that is not the conduct which sexual harassment laws are talking about. For a conduct to turn into sexual harassment, such conduct has to be unwelcome. Therefore, it is of the utmost importance that one conducts or communicates verbally or in writing to the harasser that conduct of his is making you uncomfortable and you want it to stop. You have to communicate your unwelcomeness as towards that particular action. Therefore, only those types of conduct which are unwelcome can bring the particular action into the ambit of the sexual harassment laws. Workplace. Now, Prevention of Sexual Harassment at the Workplace Act, this is dealing with certain areas of a person's daily work schedule. It does not include every single area. Sexual Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act will not actually apply to a customer who is visiting, let's say, a particular restaurant. For that, you have the Indian Penal Code. You have to remember sexual harassment provisions have been included both by the 2013 amendment in the Indian Penal Code as well as a separate act for dealing with cases at the workplace. So what is a workplace? As we can see, a workplace can be any place where a person goes to earn his daily living. It can be either private or public or government. It even includes transportation. If somebody misbehaves with a female employee on the way to work, that is also covered under this act. That's why it includes transportation, as we said. So you have to remember that only the people who are being working in a particular place, are being taken to a workplace or are working at a particular place. And if that particular offense takes in that time period when they are working at their particular organizations, that will be when the act will come into force or the act will be enabled. Now, an employer. What is an employer? A person who hires you, a person who has the run of the place in ways of formulation and what policies should be applied. That means the top management. The person discharging contractual obligations. Now, for example, if you have seen building construction, you hire contractors. Now, a particular lady laborer who is working there, for her also, the contractual obligations with the subcontractor will enable her to challenge under this act any action which demeans her dignity or can be constituted to be sexual harassment. For a domestic worker, the person who has hired that domestic worker. So, in gist, is employee is the person who works for money at a particular place. Employer is who hires that particular person to work at that particular. So you can see the relationship between an employer and employee. It's not only if you're working in a nursing home or a hospital or an NG would you be able to take benefit of this particular law. You can even, a woman laborer can even take benefit of this law because for her workplace is under that subcontractor. Moreover, this particular law also covers every volunteer, intern, trainee, apprentice. All of this will be coming under the ambit of this particular act. Now, what constitutes sexual harassment? Now, as we have earlier said, before even we go into the action that has constituted sexual harassment, the first thing we have to see is whether that conduct was welcomed or unwelcome.